Welcome to Kansas Ag Report. I'm Ken Rogers. On this week's program, we meet the new state director of the Farm Service Agency in Kansas, a familiar face to many of us, Dennis McKinney. We'll also have features from Kansas Corn, Kansas Wheat, and the Kansas Farm Bureau, and our weekly update from the Kansas Livestock Association and market information from Pinion, a division of K-Coe Isom. Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. Kansas Farm Bureau, a grassroots ag organization representing the state's farm and ranch families since 1919, kfb.org. And the Kansas Wheat Commission, lending in the adoption of profitable innovations from wheat, online at kswheat.com. And agriculture news, Eric Atkinson, whose career in agriculture broadcasting began nearly 4 decades ago under the tutelage of several giants in Kansas radio, signed off of the Agriculture Today program for the final time a week ago. Atkinson earned a bachelor's degree and master's degree from K-State, said the university hosted an agriculture program in some form since 1924. The program was known at that time as the Farm Hour. The name of the program changed to Agriculture Today in 1961, and that has stayed with it. Samantha Bennett recently earned a master's degree in animal science with a focus on ag issue communication from Auburn. Will take over now as the host of Agriculture Today on the K-State radio network. Consumers in the U.S. returned to pre-pandemic trends as they purchased more food away from home than food purchases intended for consumption at home. USDA's Economic Research Service data showed that food away from home spending increased 21.1% in 2021 from the previous year. Food at home spending also increased, up 4% in 2021. Now in 2020, during the height of the COVID pandemic, real total food expenditures fell 6.6% from 2019. U.S. consumers' food spending patterns changed as efforts were made to limit the spread of COVID. That included stay-at-home orders as well. Now, USDA describes food at home as food intended for off-premises consumption from retailers. Food away from home is food consumed at outlets like restaurants and cafeterias. Well, U.S. tractor and combine monthly unit sales in May fell below the 5-year average for the first time since March of 2020. The Association of Equipment Manufacturers released that monthly data, and it shows the U.S. total farm tractor sales fell 14.5% for the month of May compared to 2021. U.S. combine sales for the month declined 12.7% to just 315 units sold. Total farm tractor sales and combine sales are both down 14.2% year to year. Now, AEM's Kurt Blade says supply chain remains the primary issue in the ag equipment market right now. He said another thing to keep in mind, especially when comparing numbers year over year, 2021 sales were significantly above historic trends. Well, Kansas FSA Director Dennis McKinney, when we return.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
What if U.S. soybean meal were more than a commodity? If seed companies and the soybean checkoff built a better variety? That future is here. The time is now. To meet end-user demands, the soybean checkoff is investing in the compositional quality of soybeans, including meal. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com.
Many seed companies claim to offer the latest genetics, but how many have tested those genetics in soils just like yours? The Oldie Seed Know to Grow research program has fully tested the latest seed genetics in soils that are right in your neighborhood. The Oldie Seed Know to Grow program can recommend the best performing hybrids from technologies like Enlist, Extend, and Liberty Link that will optimize the yield and profit of every acre on your farm. Contact Oldie Seed today.
Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by Kansas Grain Sorghum, growers working together. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org. Grass and Grain, online or in the mail, keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. grassandgrain.com. And joining us now is Dennis McKinney, who is the new state director for the Farm Service Agency in Kansas. Hi, Dennis.
Good morning. Morning.
You and I have known each other for quite a while, and first, congratulations on this appointment. And the other thing I'll say, long time coming, but glad you're there.
Well, thank you very much.
All right, let's now. Those of you that don't know Dennis, just tell a bit about yourself and kind of how you maybe got to this point.
Well, we farm in southern Kiowa County, northern Comanche County, right in that area, south of Greensburg. Live at Greensburg. We farm there for some time now. Raise cattle, wheat, main crops. You know, being that far south, of course, we usually have a lot of wheat pasture in the winter. We hope for it. And before that, I'd served in the legislature in the state of Kansas for several years and served a couple years as state treasurer. And still serve on the hospital board in Kiowa County. I tell people that's probably the toughest public service job I've had in the last 35 years, but tried to stay involved in the community.
Well, very good. And now serving from the federal government standpoint, and just a few days ago had a great distinction of having the administrator of the Farm Service Agency come out of DC. It's always good to get some of those folks out of the Beltway and into the heartland. And well, I can't remember a time when the administrator came into Kansas, especially Southwest Kansas.
That's right. He was doing about a 4-day tour, 2 days in Kansas and 2 days in Nebraska, a couple days in Nebraska. We started him out in Garden City so we could see, some large scale cattle feeding operations. He was also interested in CRP. Of course, the Conservation Reserve Program is important in Kansas. We are probably second in the nation in number of acres in CRP. And we're discussing, how do we make the program more flexible for producers so they will stay in the program and we can get more acres in. We've dropped CRP acres since 2007 in Kansas have dropped by 46%, over 1 million acres. Now, not all that ground's been broke out, but some of it has been returned to production, and some of it's very highly erodible land. So we looked at some different kinds of CRP acres, some Playa Lake CRP, which is important for aquifer recharge, as well as for wildlife. We looked at some CREP CRP, which is where we provide incentives to retire water rights in the Ogallala aquifer. And we discussed grazing options. How can producers handle the problems by being allowed to graze at different times to handle broadleaf weeds or to handle invasive species or to handle native species like a western wheatgrass? How can a producer do that? Just give them grazing options, short-term grazing options, which are much more flexible, much better for the grass, better for the environment, better for we believe better for wildlife, rather than telling a producer, oh, you got to go spray it or you got to kill it all, then you have to reseed it, which are very expensive options. And in my view, have driven a lot of producers out of the program. So we discussed that with him. We also, we stopped at Nicodemus, at the town hall of Nicodemus, and had a full-scale discussion on CRP, hearing from wildlife groups, hearing from farmers in that area. And the interesting thing to me was the wildlife groups, in this case, the Nature Conservancy and the producers at this meeting were in agreement. Give us better grazing options, make the CRP more flexible. We can enhance habitat, and make it better for agriculture.
Dennis McKinney is the new executive director of the Farm Service Agency in Kansas. Let's take a break. We'll come back with more in just a moment. Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by the Kansas Livestock Association, supporting members' business interests and meeting consumer demands. KLA.org. Oldie Seed Farms, carrying soil-specific seed. Find them on the web at oldieseed.com. That's OHLDE seed.com. And Kansas Corn, building the future at kansascorn.com. Our guest is Dennis McKinney, who is the new executive director of the Farm Service Agency here in Kansas. Dennis, we all know we're in the midst of another heat wave in most of the state, and it's been prolonged with drought and other situations. And the Farm Service Agency does have some programs. There are some signups not only for that and the participation, but we also got to remember we're wrapping up planting, and so we've got those reporting dates coming up as well. So there's a lot of things that those county offices are busy doing.
Yeah, since I've come on board here, I got to tell you, I'm really proud of our employees out there at the front lines in the counties. They have a real heart for public service. I knew the folks I work with there in Kiowa County were, very nice at taking care of me and dealing with my character flaws. But I think I see that wherever I've been, I've visited a lot of county offices around the state. Wherever I've been, I meet our staff who have a real heart for public service, and I'm proud of them. We have, of course, in motion right now is the emergency relief program, phase one. What's interesting about this is we actually were able to, the USDA actually loaded up data from crop insurance from the risk management agency into the forms and mailed those out to producers. So we didn't have to load a lot of data at the county level, actually made all the existing data work for us. Those letters went out to producers who in 20 and 21 had, hail insurance losses or NAP insurance losses, and outlines what they can do to sign up for assistance. This is particularly well-timed for those 24 Kansas counties that have been in extended drought, especially those that have been in a D3 drought level for quite a number of months. So it's particularly well-timed to help keep those producers. I think it's important to remind people, our mission here, the mission of USDA and Farm Service Agency from the get-go has been, how do we keep family farmers in business and maintain a stable production of food. Listen to the news right now. In these countries around the world where they have food instability, they have tremendous turmoil and strife. We want to continue to help partner. We think we partner with the world's best farmers and ranchers to help provide a safe and abundant food supply. And that's what we're about. And that's what we're doing here with the emergency relief program, keeping these producers a certain stability in there so we continue to have a safe and abundant food supply. And the other thing we have going right now, also I mentioned, is we've had some major losses of cattle in the southwest part of the state. There was no time to acclimate. We went from very cool weather to extremely hot weather in a rapid period of time. Those producers who had major losses can check out our livestock indemnity program. Will not cover all your losses, but it can help keep some producers in business. So we're asking them to check, they can check with their county offices on that as well.
Right. And again, the other thing, make sure those your planted acres are reported in. So there's a hard deadline for that.
Yeah, July 15th, that deadline. A lot of our producers, if you get an off day, you want to go ahead and report corn acres or, whatever, go ahead and get that head start. Work with it, call the county office, tell them where you're at and what you're doing, and please don't wait till July the 12th or 14th to report those acres. I've done that a time or two.
Me too.
They were nice enough to say, yeah, come on in, but check with us earlier the next time.
I understand. All right. Well, Dennis, again, great to catch up with you. We look forward to doing this on a more regular basis since you're kind of seated in there now to update farmers and ranchers of what's going on with the Farm Service Agency. So sure appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Dennis McKinney, Executive Director of the Kansas Farm Service Agency, has joined us. Stay with us. We'll have more in just a moment.
Imagine turning soybean oil, used cooking oils, and waste animal fats into fuel so amazing it drives U.S. jobs and our economy forward. Learn more about biodiesel at americasadvancedbiofuel.com.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
Now, I started my experiment a few weeks ago, and I put one plant in the windowsill, one set of plants in the dark, actually in that cabinet behind me, and just for fun, I even decided to do a third one. So I put one kind of in the middle of the room where it doesn't get direct sunlight. Well, let's compare the two. See, the one in the sunlight is deep and dark green. The one that didn't get any sunlight is pale, yellowish, and kind of wimpy. It's important in this experiment that you treat both plants the same, and one of those things you need to make sure is that they have adequate water. You know, the one in the sunlight's probably going to need water more often than the one in the dark. So here's what I want you to do. It's pretty simple. Just every couple days, check your plant just by touching the soil with your finger. If it's dry, add a couple tablespoons of water to make sure it has enough. If you touch it and the soil's still damp, it has adequate water. Don't worry about watering it today.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
On the upper floors of Throckmorton Hall at Kansas State University, a nondescript gray cabinet and set of freezers hold a collection of spores gathered from across the world to help Kansas wheat producers better manage common bunt. Also known as stinking smut, common bunt occurs regularly in Kansas at varying levels. According to K-State Research and Extension, the fungal disease causes moderate deformation of wheat kernels, which can have a gray color and strong fishy odor. Infected kernels are also filled with black powdery spores known as teleospores versus white starch. In the 2019 to 2020 wheat growing season, wheat producers in parts of Kansas and Oklahoma had decade-high levels of yield loss due to common bunt. Kelsey Anderson Onofree, assistant professor of plant pathology in K-State's College of Agriculture, who leads this research project, said, "We have had, in the last 5 years, more fields affected by common bunt, and these fields have had substantial yield loss. We want to be able to help producers with making management decisions, choosing the right fungicide, seed treatments, having them applied properly, and working with the breeding material to understand if there are resistant genes that exist in current Kansas varieties." In addition to yield losses, common bunt negatively impacts milling and baking quality. Too much infected wheat results in dockage or rejection at the elevator, leaving producers without good alternatives for selling the lower quality wheat. Keep track of the project's progress and get the latest updates to management recommendations at www.eupdate.agronomy.ksu.edu.
Grain sorghum is one of the most important cereal crops worldwide, and Kansas leads the nation in its production. Over the years, sorghum has been either exported, used in animal feed domestically, or for other industrial uses. Recently, its use in the ethanol market has seen tremendous growth, with 30% of domestic sorghum typically going to ethanol production. Kansas Grain Sorghum is committed to sorghum research, market development, and education. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org.
Kansas Corn reminds you that E15 fuel is the right choice for every kind of driver. For the car enthusiast, E15 has higher octane. For the thrifty driver, E15 is priced lower than regular unleaded. For the nature lover, E15 provides cleaner air. For the shopper who buys local, E15 has more ethanol from our Kansas corn farms. Choose E15 for a higher octane, lower price, cleaner American fuel. Message from the Kansas Corn Commission. Learn more at kscorn.com.
I'm Debbie Lyons-Blythe, and I'm a cattle rancher in the Flint Hills of Kansas. And I'm really proud to be a rancher because cows are actually a superhero. They have an amazing power to eat things that we cannot eat and turn them into a delicious, nutritious source of protein. We call that upcycling. Not only can they eat grass, but they can eat other things as well. It's really important, though, that because cows need grass, we need to make sure that we manage the grass in the appropriate way. I live in the Flint Hills of Kansas, and grassland management is really foundational here. But it's different. You don't raise grass in the same way in Wyoming versus Alabama. So the recommendation is that we have a grazing management plan that's appropriate to our own regions. If you have a grazing management plan, you are impacting the quality of the land, water, and greenhouse gases. So you might ask, how does that impact greenhouse gases? Grasslands sequester carbon at a tremendous rate. And how do we make sure that we continue to sequester carbon? We continue to keep this land in grass. And cows help us do that. If we did not have cows grazing this area, it would grow up into a scrubby forest. And the trees that would grow up here do not sequester carbon. These grasses reach deep down into the soil, sometimes 20 feet deep, to put that carbon in really deep. In addition, the roots of the grasses help the soil to be able to infiltrate water when it rains. In addition, because photosynthesis is the foundation of grasslands, cows grazing the grass continues and encourages more photosynthesis. So if they eat the grass down, it regrows and sequesters more carbon. The carbon cycle of a cow is interesting. So cows do emit methane. They do. They burp methane, and that goes into the atmosphere and is within 10 years converted to CO2. That CO2 then is necessary for photosynthesis for the grass. The grass regrows, the cows eat it, and that cycle happens. For the most part, the carbon that is within that cycle is absolutely recycled and is not new carbon adding to the atmosphere.
To learn more about sustainability on the farm, visit KansasLivingMagazine.com.
Grain sorghum is one of the most important cereal crops worldwide, and Kansas leads the nation in its production. Over the years, sorghum has been either exported, used in animal feed domestically, or for other industrial uses. Recently, its use in the ethanol market has seen tremendous growth, with 30% of domestic sorghum typically going to ethanol production. Kansas Grain Sorghum is committed to sorghum research, market development, and education. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org.
More than 115 members of Congress, including Representatives Tracy Mann, Jake LaTurner, and Ron Estes, wrote a letter to the Securities and Exchange Commission expressing their concerns with a new proposed rule that would require publicly traded companies to disclose their greenhouse gas emissions, including that of their supply chain. For those that process or sell beef, emissions from cattle production would be included. The letter pointed out the proposed rule would be a significant and unworkable regulatory burden and a considerable departure from the Securities and Exchange Commission's purpose, which is to protect investors, maintain fair, orderly, and efficient markets, and facilitate capital formation. The letter went on to specifically state that it is not within the purview of the Securities and Exchange Commission to regulate farmers and ranchers, which is what this rule would do. The letter also highlighted that, as the proposed rule currently is written, it is unclear how producers would be protected from privacy concerns due to the information that would be required to be provided. The members of Congress urged the Securities and Exchange Commission to consider these implications and scrap this rule entirely to ensure producers' private property information would not end up on any public disclosures.
What if U.S. soybean meal were more than a commodity? If seed companies and the soybean checkoff built a better variety? That future is here. The time is now. To meet end-user demands, the soybean checkoff is investing in the compositional quality of soybeans, including meal. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Good morning, I'm Darren Van Vactor with Pinion, a division of K-Coe Isom. The market remains extremely volatile with inflation, supply chain disruption, and food security adding to the uncertainty. Our latest consumer price index, a widely used indicator of inflation, came in higher than expected. This has many believing the Fed is under pressure to raise interest rates at a faster pace to inflation. Raising rates too fast could trigger a recession, but too slow would allow inflation to linger. Stocks have responded with investors headed to the sidelines. Corn, beans, and wheat have all felt the impact, coming well off our recent highs from a few weeks back. Corn and beans still have a lot of unknown ahead as we wrap up planting. If the recent heat persists, weather will come front and center. Then there is also the planted acres report and the July WASDE over the next 20 days. Even with the slumping stock market, livestock have been able to power off the recent lows. They have some help from a pullback in the feed grains, but overall feed is still high and old crop basis values are surging. Regardless, cash cattle values have rebounded a bit here. Weather, inflation, and supply chain issues are providing plenty of volatility, which does lead to opportunity. If you'd like to discuss some ways to take advantage that fit your operation, please give us a call at 888-458-8751. I'm Darren Van Vactor. Be safe and have a great week.
That's our show this week. Be social with us online, kansasagreport.net, or on our social media channels. I'm Ken Rogers. Thanks for joining us. Be safe out there and have a great wheat harvest. We'll talk with you next week.
What if sustainability were synonymous with U.S. soy? If energy efficiency, water quality, and soil health help define U.S. soy's value, that future is here. The time is now. To meet end-user demands, the Soybean Checkoff is committing to sustainability that's achievable, worthwhile, and enduring. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Are you looking for Medicare supplement insurance plans? Now is a good time to look at your options with Kansas Farm Bureau Health Plans. A Medicare supplement insurance plan can help cover certain out-of-pocket expenses Medicare doesn't cover. Things like deductibles, co-insurance, and certain limitations that can be costly in the event of an accident or illness. With Kansas Farm Bureau Health Plans, you have options to Medicare supplement insurance plans with 4 levels of affordable coverage and service from an organization known for its commitment serving Kansans. We encourage you to compare our rates. For more information and to get a quote, contact a Farm Bureau Financial Services agent near you or visit kfbhealthplans.com. Medicare supplements insured by Members Health Insurance Company, Columbia, Tennessee. Not connected with or endorsed by the U.S. or state government.